This is Will Powers, Inverse News, Nostalgia for the Present. It is Friday, May 22nd, 2020 at 10:42 p.m. And I want to share with you something. I saw a post on patrick.net, and this is the post right here. Trump's mind control cult now faces an existential crisis. During the 1970s, starting to read the post, Steven Hassan was a senior member of the Unification Church, an offshoot Christian sect led by the Reverend Sun Myung Moon. Hassan was so loyal to the Unification Church that he pledged to die or kill at Moon's command. After escaping the Unification Church, Hassan dedicated his life's work to freeing other people from mind control organizations and destructive cults. He now one of the world's leading experts on mind control and cults. Hassan is a direct personal witness to the way cult leaders are defined by their use of money, power, greed, sex, lies, charisma, and violence to control their followers and empower themselves. In 2016, Hassan saw those traits personified in the form of Republican nominee Donald Trump. He then tried to alert the public to the danger that a cult leader would become president. A cult leader, that's a good one. And that ruin and despair for the United States would be the inevitable result. Hassan's new book, The Cult of Trump. Oh, look at that. He's trying to sell a book. Real surprise. A leading cult expert explains how the president uses mind control, attempts to explain how all this came to be. Right, well, he does try to influence his viewers and listeners. Scott Adams has a word for it. He calls it a form of subtly manipulating your listeners to, it's like hypnosis. You put them, not strictly speaking, he puts all his fans and people who go to his rallies under hypnosis, but he uses subtle persuasion techniques that do work on people, as Scott Adams says. But that isn't really a form of mind control like it's being used here, like a CIA mind control thing where they try to put you under hypnosis and then get you to kill the president, as in a Manchurian candidate kind of way. That's just ridiculous. Anyway, continuing on with the article as it's written here. Oh, excuse me, I'm getting a call. No, I'm not getting a call. Anyway, I recently spoke with Steven Hassan about Trump's death cult, right, and the power the president has over his followers. Hassan also explains how Trump resembles notorious cult leader Jim Jones and why Trump's followers remain in love with him even as his decisions are literally making them sick. Hassan also explains how Fox News, who always runs stories that are anti-Trump. Trump is fed up with Fox News. This is so ridiculous. Anyway, other parts of the right-wing disinformation machine, which is what the left-wing machine is, a disinformation machine. See how they just turn it around on you? They accuse you of exactly what you're doing. And if you look here at the post here, I couldn't read anymore. It's just gobbledygook. It goes on, but I'm not reading any more of that crap. Anyway, Trump visits the UN. Why are they laughing? He's in clown makeup. That's one meme. These are just silly memes, and they're just meaningless tripe. It's not anything. Anyway, there are right-wing comments on here, and people poking fun at Joe Biden, who's, one gaffe after another, and then they go on. But what I wanted to get, here's a sick one. Trump, Pence, you drank the Kool-Aid in 2016. Drink the bleach in 2020. Oh, God, this is mean-spirited. Anyway, going on here, let me see. I wanted to get to my comment here because this is what I wanted to talk about here. This is my reaction to his post. And I say, seek help, Jazz, because you are seriously deluded if you think there is any comparison between Jim Jones and Donald Trump. It shows a serious lack of any deep kind of understanding of Jim Jones, let alone Donald Trump. And I direct him to an article on Jim Jones that I wrote that connects him to the CIA and makes out that the Jonestown massacre in Guyana at the Jim Jones retreat, or whatever you want to call it, death camp, because that's where over 900 people lost their lives, and most of them were forced to drink the Kool-Aid or voluntarily drank the Kool-Aid because they were mind controlled into doing it. And the CIA has a long history of mind control experiments, and MK Ultra, you could look into that, and that's where they did experiments on unsuspecting citizens, fed them acid unknowingly to them, and put them in controlled situations where they were deprived of sunlight in little boxes where messages were repeated over and over to them until they were their egos were broken down, and then they were rebuilt and hypnotized to make perhaps a Manchurian candidate. Anyway, Jim Jones was involved with them, and I believe that Jonestown was a CIA mind control experiment. You could see an article on that in my website. Continuing on with my response, secondly, your argument from the outset has a serious flaw, I say. Closing down the economy may not affect the users of this website, including myself or yourself, but to millions of others who are losing their small businesses and livelihoods over the shutdown because the governor decided they were non-essential, some of them Democrats. To them, this is life-shattering and no joke. What about the people who commit suicide because they lost everything, and do their deaths count? What about the people who can't go in for a needed operation because they wanted to empty the hospital for the surge of COVID patients that didn't show up in droves as they thought? What happens to those people who are denied surgery under the new rules and die because they couldn't get a needed operation? Do their deaths count, or is it the overcounting of the COVID patients that count? The numbers have now not far exceeded a bad flu season so far, and yes, people do die of the flu, 35 to as many as 60,000 a year. There have been pandemics in the past. No one batted an eye when the Hong Kong flu took out 100,000 people in 1968-69, and there certainly was no shutdown back then. The fact is, Sweden didn't shut down and their whole economy, and they didn't experience a huge influx of cases. But places with stay-at-home orders like New York and California are the worst hit. Ask yourself that question. You probably didn't even know that, did you, Jazz? Yeah, that's right. They hit the hospitals have been pressuring doctors in California and New York to count every death as a COVID death, even if there were other morbidities involved. Edge yourself and read my website. I have a story on two doctors in Southern California who reported about being pressured to up the numbers on the number of COVID deaths, because then the hospitals would get a certain amount of funds. So anyway, I also say, and what about Trump?